Hello everyone, there is a very interesting exclusive news posted on Wall Street Journals. It has sparked a lot of discussion. There's currently 2,500 responses on this one news article. It's called Trump's Allies Draw Up Plans to Blunt Fed's Independence. One of the authors of the news article is Nick Tamiros. He is considered a Federal Reserve's spokesperson in disguise of a journalist. So whenever Federal Reserve are not able to say something, he can say it because he don't work for the Fed on paper. So he's also known as the Fed Whisperer. So according to people familiar with the matter, Donald Trump's allies are quietly drafting a 10-page proposal document that would attempt to erode the Federal Reserve's independence if Donald Trump wins a second term. These people has also said that the proposal has received the blessing of Donald Trump. I personally think it shouldn't be a big surprise because Donald Trump has told publicly that he loves low interest rate, and he has told some of his allies that he is frustrated that he couldn't influence interest rate when he was a president.
We are doing great as a country. Unfortunately, they just raised interest rates a little bit because we are doing so well. I'm not happy about that. I'd rather pay down debt or do other things, create more jobs, but they raised them.
The group of Trump's ally in this proposal argued that he should be consulted on interest rate decisions. This will be done by adding Donald Trump to the FOMC, which is the Federal Open Market Committee, as an ex officio member, so that Donald Trump is involved in the monetary policy setting. So in this chart, we can see here is the Board of Governors, and here we have the committee, or pretty much the district members coming from the 12 district of Federal Reserve banks and on a rotational basis. So the two groups form the FOMC, and the plan asks to add Donald Trump somewhere in here, right, to be involved in the monetary policy setting. The proposal also says if Donald Trump returns to office, he would have the authority to oust Jerome Powell as Fed chair before his 4-year term ends in 2026. Jerome Powell would then likely to remain on the Board of Governors, but no longer to be the chair. So this process is described in this chart. So pretty much Donald Trump have the authority to make a decision. Does he like Jerome Powell? If it's a yes, then Powell continues to be the Fed chair until end of the term. Right? This new term, 2026, is appointed by Joe Biden. If Donald Trump does not like Jerome Powell, he can replace him with a new person. And the proposal also recommends subjecting Federal Reserve regulations to White House review. As we know, Federal Reserve makes a lot of regulation for the banks, right? And now, according to the proposal, the White House will review those regulations and to determine if it's good or not. If it is good, the regulations will be kept as is. If it's no good, the regulation will be sent back to Federal Reserve to revise. And once it's revised, the White House will review it again. If it's still no good, it goes back to Federal Reserve until it is at a state where White House think it's good enough to be released. Actually, this proposal from Trump's ally reminds me of what just happened in Israel when their Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attempted to reform the judicial system, which includes a proposal to limit the Supreme Court's oversight on government's decisions. So this guy trying to limit the judiciary power of that country. The proposal has caused lots of protests in Israel as they were seen by many as a threat to the independence of judiciary system and to the democratic checks and balances in Israel. At the end, the key component of the proposal was struck down by Supreme Court. Now let's go back to Trump's allies' proposal. So I'll share some of the main issues I see in those proposals. Number one is that have the same person who is involved in the fiscal policy, here I'm talking about the president of US, which is Trump, right, who is involved in fiscal policy setting, if also to get the same person involved in monetary policy setting, it can be problematic because it erodes the independence of Federal Reserve as an institution, meaning that the institution in US that's responsible for spending money pretty much will have substantial control over the institution that prints money. That is a conflict of interest. The other issue I see is that it will potentially add a third mandate to the Federal Reserve. Right? Federal Reserve's current two mandates are: one, price stability; the other one is maximum employment. If Donald Trump is added to FOMC or have a influential power to FOMC, the Federal Reserve will have to add a third mandate. So we call it a tri-mandate. And the mandate would be called helping the president to win the next election. Right? In other words, decisions from Federal Reserve could be made to favor short-term political gains instead of long-term economic stability. This is risky, especially under our current economic environment where we just came out of the peak of a 40-year high inflation situation, and we're still above the long-term 2% inflation target. The third issue I see is once Federal Reserve loses some of its independence, it could have implications for international confidence on US dollar, because currently US dollar is the primary reserve currency. To continue to be the primary reserve currency, it requires the world to have trust in its stability and to have trust in independence of US economic and financial system. If monetary policy can be used as a weapon by the politicians, it will undermine the international confidence in US dollar. I'll give you an example. In the Ukraine war, when US sanctioned Russia, it used the SWIFT system. By kicking Russia out of that system, they can no longer do wire transfer. So pretty much cutting off the access of Russia to the US dollar was used as a weapon, and that already sparked discussion, a lot of discussion about de-dollarization. Now imagine not only cutting access to US dollar and also use your monetary policy as a weapon, that would cause further, I think, de-dollarization discussions. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to my channel.